to welcome all of His Glory Nation to this special edition of His Glory News. We are spreading the good news from east to west, north to south, and I am Janice White. And for today's breaking news headlines, I have my good friend Miriam from Moms on a Mission here to discuss. So let's go ahead and bring her on. Thank you so much, Miriam, for joining me again today. I am just so loving these Mondays with you. So thank you again for being on.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's jump into our first headline, which is about how Governor Gavin Newsom has enacted policies endorsing, as you know, transgender identity over parental rights, causing much concern, especially for hot topics such as fairness in women's sports and the general overall well-being of children, including allowing children to decide to take life-changing hormone blockers and have surgeries, which you and I have had many conversations about. Now, the Daily Signal reports one group called Protect Kids California is fighting back and filed 3 ballot initiatives just last week. Actually, it was 2 weeks ago for the November 2024 ballot that would give the power back to the people to decide what happens. Now, these are the items the people would be voting on in California. One is requiring the school to notify parents if their kid identifies as transgender. 2 is preventing biological males from entering female sports. And 3 is forbidding professionals from performing surgery on children or putting them on experimental drugs to alter their gender in order to affirm a gender opposite of their biological sex. Now, the group is hopeful that these items will be put on the ballot and are optimistic that they will actually all pass. They say the majority of California does not support Newsom's and the Democrats' gender-affirming care ideas and practices. But meanwhile, the California Senate is considering AB 957, which would make parents who refuse to affirm the child's preferred identity liable for, get this, child abuse. So Miriam, what are your thoughts about this? There's definitely a clash here between parents, the people of California, and those in leadership.
Yes. So what's happening right now, Janice, is that there's a battle. It's a spiritual battle. We've talked about this at the root of all this. This is where it's coming from. But secondly, and secondarily, it is that there are rights as outlined in the Constitution. Our rights come from God. They're inalienable rights. And what the government is trying to do, and we've talked about education and revisionist history, and this is what they are counting on, is that we, the parents, will not research and know what our Constitution says, and our rights come from God. They don't come from the government. So the government can't take our children away. The government can't change the narrative and say that this is illegal. Let's be honest. This is indoctrination. This is a religion. Transgenderism and all of this is a religion. It's indoctrination. And they just like Jesus said, go and make disciples of men. Jesus said to do this because that's what you're supposed to do. And this is what they're doing, but for the devil, for the spirit of darkness. They are attempting to be active. They are trying to make disciples of their, transgenderism and ideology. And it's not only not right, but it's not legal. I mean, our Constitution says that we have an inalienable rights that come from God. And I'm really thrilled. I believe Californians are standing up and fighting back, just like Jessica Tapia is fighting back. I know we've talked about Murrieta Valley and the Chino Valley Unified School Districts. They are pushing back with these parental notification bills. And I believe that parents are waking up and showing up and saying, no, you cannot have our children. And that's what it's going to take.
Yeah, it is. And you were absolutely right when you said everybody needs to make themselves aware and educate themselves on what their rights are. So what I'm holding up here, this is a pocket constitution. And so it tells you everything you need to know about your rights. Obviously, you can see it's not that big, but everybody needs to read this, know what your rights are. And I love, love, love what the group is doing as far as putting this back on the ballot in 2024 in November for the people to decide, what do you want to do? So I absolutely love the idea. I think everybody should be doing this because, and we've mentioned this before, Miriam, I do believe that the majority of parents are against this. And the majority of the citizens do not want this. And so, and it's kind of a reversal. We're talking about, with the Senate's trying to pass. I mean, they actually want to call parents who do not go along with what they say. They're saying that they're guilty of child abuse. I mean, this is, again, they're trying to gain more ground. And you're absolutely right. It is a spiritual war, but now is definitely the time to push back. And so I love what the group's doing. I think everybody needs to take note, and other states need to do the same.
Yeah. And it is just a shame that we even have to vote on this. It's a shame that, some folks, in government don't even know what a woman is, which they do, but it's a war of narratives. And this is, it's evil, and we need to call it evil, and we need to not allow this indoctrination, propaganda, and these lies to perpetuate. And I'm super proud of all the folks in California for standing up. And I believe that there is more of us than there are of them. It's just that the left and the Marxists have learned through, various sources of education, Saul Alinsky, just the rules for radicals, they've laid out a plan to call names, to change the meanings of palatable, acceptable words, this war of narratives. That's why it's so important. With Moms on a Mission on our podcast, we talk about the 3 pillars of educate, awake, and activate. And you can't activate until you know that there's a problem. You have to become educated first and wake up to the truth, and then act on it in your circle of influence.
Yeah, 100%. And I love how the group calls out everybody. They say, this is not just about the parents. We need grandparents. We need the veterans. We need everybody to come out on election day and vote on this. And everybody needs to lock arms. And, once we do that, that's all over. It's all over.
It's all hands on deck right now. And General Flynn says it best when he says local action makes a national impact. And everybody, aunts, uncles, grandparents, even young, 20s and 30-year-olds who maybe they don't have kids and they're still, establishing their career, what have you. I mean, everybody needs to fight for truth and fight for our families and our children right now.
Yeah, 100%. Yep. Our very future depends upon it. All right, let's jump into the second headline, which is about how Senator Ted Cruz is accusing the DOJ of aggressively targeting pro-life activists. Now, we've seen this over and over. He's 100% correct. The Daily Signal reports that the DOJ is refusing to investigate or take seriously attacks on pro-life pregnancy centers throughout the entire country, yet they go above and beyond to go after pro-life activists. So 2 weeks ago, a Washington, D.C. jury convicted 5 pro-life activists of violating the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act, more popularly known as FACE, when they sought to prevent the abortions of unborn babies by blocking women from accessing a D.C. abortion clinic in 2020. Now, they now face, get this, 11 years in prison. 11 years in prison. And Cruz believes, of course, that they are being targeted because of their pro-life activism. And an example of this is Mark Huck, who was in the news. He's a father of 7 and a Catholic pastor, and he was doing sidewalk counseling in Pennsylvania. He had brought his juvenile son along with him, and there was an altercation between somebody from the abortion clinic who came out and confronted his son. And so he got involved. He ended up pushing him and getting arrested. But they showed up to his house. If you remember, Miriam, this was all over the news. They showed up in force. There were, I can't remember how many agents that showed up, but you would have thought it was a terrorist that lived there. So he was arrested, but he did end up winning his case, and he's now actually running for office. So that's another example of how they went after him. And get this, at least 88 U.S. pregnancy centers across the United States have been firebombed, vandalized, or set ablaze in the wake of the overturning of Roe versus Wade. But once again, we're seeing a 2-tiered system of justice here. Miriam, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. It is a two-tier system of justice, and they're weaponizing every national security arm and branch that we have. And you see it with President Trump. I mean, you see it in these indictments. I mean, these are things like with Russiagate. I was just talking with Kash Patel about this yesterday and the day before about how with Russiagate, they came to the DOJ and talked to them about, you know, the lying and the conspiracy, and they basically laughed him out of the halls of justice and said, you know, this is political. You can't create, you know, a suit on this. But yet now that's what they're doing to President Trump. And, you know, I become so frustrated when I see these things. I mean, it's so blatantly wrong, and it's so blatantly unconstitutional and not just. And the fact that we have to fight for this religious liberty and these freedoms that our founders so brutally died for, so that we could be free. I mean, and that's what I find so ironic about this, is that we're fighting for religious freedom, we're fighting for our constitutional rights, the very same freedoms that, you know, George Washington talks about, that they were fighting for us. And it is our duty and our gift. It's really a gift that we have to be able to stand up and fight for these freedoms. But it's unbelievable that as we're fighting to protect the unborn and protect their inalienable rights, that they're coming after us. And life just doesn't matter to the left. Life just doesn't matter to these Marxists. It's about their agenda. It's about them remaining at the top. And if they have to, you know, lie, cheat, steal, not use the same laws and weaponize our defense arms, then so be it. And it's just going to take all of Americans, all of us, to stand up and say no.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And as you were saying that, I was looking once again in my pocket constitution to just the Declaration of Independence. I'm going to read a part of it. It says that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form. These were smart men that wrote this. They knew, because they had lived it. They had lived in a government where they had no rights. They knew what they were doing when they implemented this. They were extremely intelligent. And they were trying to prevent it from happening again. And so, again, like you said, we need to educate ourselves on the Constitution and what our rights are, and people need to become activated. That's the only way that we're going to win this. And of course, relying on God, but not just sitting back and waiting for God to take care of it. You know, He empowers people. If you truly are doing what is right, and in your heart, you know something's not right, and you are standing up, and it might seem like a Goliath, like Mark Huck. I was reading an interview with him, and again, he's running for office now, and he said, we faced Goliath and we won. You know, so he's a modern day David standing up for what is right, in this case, the unborn child, and he won against the DOJ. So while it might seem impossible, it's not. And that's just a perfect example.
And that's why I love the name His Glory, because God does get the glory in these situations. Because this is, you just look in the word, you look at David and he used stones and he had no armor. You look at Gideon, he had hardly any men. And at the end of the day, God relishes and loves using incompetent, you know, untrained people. I mean, Janice and I were just talking about this before, that we don't have a background in journalism. We don't have a broadcasting background, but God said to do this. And so we know that when He anoints this broadcast, when He anoints our words, that He 110% gets all the glory, because it's not us, it's Him. And I believe that the Lord really loves that. And so I'm thrilled that these wins and these W's are coming down the pike. And I think it really is going to encourage others to stand up and just know that God says, you know, with Him, nothing's impossible. And that, you know, Philippians 4:13 says that we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. And so we have the power, we have God on our side, and we just need to step out and say yes and obey.
Yeah. You're right. And you're right. We don't have that background or experience. We like to laugh because there's been so many times where, you know, you can definitely tell that we're not professionals, but at the end of the day, you know what we are? We're moms standing up for not just our kids, but kids everywhere. And, we're standing up for God, and that's all that matters. And, there are times when we'd much rather be doing something else, but we don't, because it's a calling. And right now it's all hands on deck. And so we're answering that call. And, again, we're moms. We have busy schedules, we're doing a lot. But at the same time, when you reach out to God and you say, God, what do you want me to do? He's going to give you an assignment, and all you have to do is obey. And he will make sure that you are equipped with what you need for such a time as this to do what it is that you need to do. And so thank you for bringing that up.
I love that you said that, because that's how you and I both got into this. I asked the Lord, I went to Clay's first, I was actually called a Reopen America tour in April of 21. And I just said, Lord, I was so convicted by the Holy Spirit to do something. And I just said, show me what to do, and I will say yes, and I'll do it. And then just a few months later, there was an issue at my son's school, and he said, this is the time, I need you to stand up now. And I said, yes, sir. And I did it. And then with the Moms on a Mission podcast, he said, I would like you to do that. And I didn't say yes quite as quickly as the other yes, but I did say yes. And, laundry piles up. You wonder, I have a teenager, and, you're wondering, did he have some vegetables? Did he have fruit with his dinner? Cause I missed dinner because I was doing an interview, and God is so good and faithful, and he just helps you balance it all out. But the beauty is saying yes to God and watching him anoint the work of your hands, and watch him be glorified, and watch truth literally wake people up before your very eyes. It's so exciting.
It is. And I'm so glad to lock arms with you in this battle, and others. We're doing what we're doing because we have to, not because we want to, but because we have to, and because God called us to that. And that's for everybody listening. God has a specific purpose for you as well. And all you have to do is ask him what it is, and he will equip you with what you need. And so, all right, Miriam, our last topic of today is from the Washington Examiner. The U.S. Southern Command canceled Sound of Freedom screenings at headquarters. Despite raking in over 200 million, the film, which exposes, as you know, child human trafficking and has a heavy Christian narrative, has been subjected to efforts to delegitimize it as extremist propaganda linked to QAnon. And so critics in our military headquarters said watching the film would infringe on the military's, quote, apolitical nature, and toe the line between separation of church and state. So they are refusing to air the movie again at their headquarters. And, this headline here, Miriam, it really struck me, because they're refusing to air something that brings awareness to child sex trafficking, yet at the same time, they're allowing drag queen shows. What are your thoughts?
Well, Janice, this is, again, it's a war of narratives, and they're trying to act like this is political. It's not political. There's nothing political about saving children from being raped 10 times a day. There's nothing Republican or Democrat about that. Again, it's our right for life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, our inalienable rights that come from God. These children, it's all about money. The Bible says not money, but the love of money is the root of all evil. And that is exactly what's happening right now. And it makes me so incredibly angry. I mean, I just have goosebumps right now, just imagining that they're calling this political, because it's a money game. I mean, when you think about how much money these corrupt, and politicians are in the game. I mean, it's not just these creepy bad guys standing on the corner that you think would snatch your children and make a deal. I mean, it is politicians. It's so embedded in our society. I mean, America is a massive consumer of child trafficking. I mean, we are at the top of the list. And so, when you talk about exposing this and educating Americans, they don't want that, because it's a money source for them, and you're cutting off, the money there. And it angers me. And we all, again, need to call them out and expose them and say, no, this is not political. You're lying, and we're going to call you out on that. There's nothing political about this.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you said call them out. And that's exactly what needs to happen. They do need to be called out. And just because you're in the military and you can still push back against stuff like this. You don't have to say, okay, and just let it slide. And that's exactly what needs to happen. They need to all be pushing back because, they don't agree with this. The majority of men and women who serve our country are there for the right reasons. And it's just like the FBI. I truly believe the FBI and other branches of government, there's a lot of people there for the right reasons. Unfortunately, we're seeing at the very top is where a lot of this corruption is. And, and I know this is different, but FBI whistleblowers came forward to say, we can't take this anymore. Like, we are leaving our jobs, we're leaving our pension to come to the House Judiciary Committee, to come to Jim Jordan and James Comer and tell them what they're experiencing, as far as these attacks on everyday normal citizens that, they're treating like terrorists. And you saw a lot of this with January 6th, who they were being required to, for lack of a better word, spy on. And they were like, we're listening and we're watching these people and they're everyday Americans. And so we had to come forward and say, again, there's this two-tiered system of justice. There's also in the highest levels of the military and other branches of government, there's things like this happening. And like you said, why not be on board with a film exposing child human sex trafficking? Why not? There is absolutely no good reason for this. And you're right, it's not political. That's a lie. These people need to be called out because the only logical explanation that I can come up with is, like you said, they're either covering for other people, they don't want to bring awareness to it. So that makes you think, well, then they have to be involved in some way, manner, or form, because it just does not logically make sense not to show this video. It doesn't. It does not make sense.
I think there's a lot of bribery going on too. I talked with General Flynn. It was about a year ago. We were talking here when he was here in Tulsa about this. And he was saying that, they have dirt on these men. I mean, they set them up. They're in compromised situations where their wife's not there. Maybe they've had too much to drink or what have you. And a camera is rolling. And so that's what it is. It's blackmail, or it's all about the money. And it's just so corrupt. And our children are being injured, are tortured, are dying. And we need to stand up and speak the truth and say, no, you cannot have them. And we're not doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why you are seeing these whistleblowers come forward. They just can no longer, their conscience won't allow them to be part of this. And you've seen them in the military as well coming forward, the FBI, all branches, and they're trying to expose because they're seeing this play out. And that's why the House Judiciary and, these other, people in the House of Representatives, these senators and congressmen are coming forward with this information from these congressmen or from these whistleblowers, is because people are starting to say, they're starting to see, okay, this goes way beyond, just me and my pension and my happiness. I need to come forward and expose what's happening, because literally the future and fate of these children and this entire country, it's not looking good if people don't start standing up and coming forward, even if it means you're going to lose your job, even if it means that, you have to completely 100% rely on God. And that's what most of them are saying. We're relying on God. We're coming forward because we have to expose this. Another example is Tara Lee Rodas, the whistleblower who came forward and said that the HHS whistleblower who blew the whistle on the child human trafficking from across the border. And so thank God for these people coming forward and fighting back.
And like you said, we're going to need more. We're going to need more people to do that. And in Timothy, it says, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and of a sound mind. And if we're believers and we believe that Jesus is in our heart, we believe that there's this supernatural power from heaven abiding inside of us, then we need to trust him, spend time in the word, connect with God for power, for courage to do the right thing. Because when I was talking with Kash Patel, he said, listen, 2024, this is it. Like, we're not going to have another chance. I mean, we've already seen all the corruption and all the dismal statistics as it relates to our economy and inflation and our open border now. And just what's happening around the world. We don't have peace in the Middle East anymore. Everything has come upended, and now is the time to act. And we're not going to have second and third chances. And so that's why we need to say yes to God today and then act and do what he's asked us to do.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. And I do believe that, people are starting to turn, they're starting to repent and turn to God. And that's the answer to all of this, Miriam. One nation under God, what we were founded upon. If we can get back to that, then this country will flourish again. But if we don't, there's consequences to that. We're already seeing them. We're seeing what happens when you take God out of everything.
Yeah,
And
and that's what's so ironic and not really ironic, because this has been an agenda for over 100 years. When the Marxists came over from Germany in the late 1800s and started in our universities, and then got into our schools and really indoctrinated our children and Americans so that they could destroy our country and turn it into, another two-tier justice system, just like you see in China and North Korea and all these other places. And now we're seeing the fruit of their work. And so, but what is so astounding to me, and I think you would agree, is that when our founding fathers set up this constitutional republic, this great American experiment, it was so different from all these other countries. And you saw, the prospering of our country and the hand of God on our country. And America is the greatest country on earth. And why is that? It's because of our constitutional republic. And it's because our foundation is on Jesus Christ. That's why America is so great. And so as you see the Marxists and the leftists, ripping and stripping God out of every institution in our country, and you see our country imploding and falling apart. I mean, it's just so logical. Why would you not go back to what works, right? Like, why would you not?
Yeah, no, great point. And, we once again need to put God at the forefront of all things. He needs to be back in the schools. He needs to be back in government. He needs to be, everywhere. He needs to be in our military. He needs to be in every aspect of our life here. And then we will flourish once again. And again, we were, this whole separation of church and state, like what they're trying to say, the reason why they're not going to play Sound of Freedom, they're using that as an excuse. But really, like you said, that is the foundation of what we were found. I mean, that's what we were founded upon. One nation under God. That's why when we say the Pledge of Allegiance, we say one nation under God, and
that's what made us great. That's what made us soar above all the other countries, is because we were so unique and so different in the way that, we have these three branches versus, a two-tier justice system, and we have checks and balances, and we are basing this all on the foundation of Judeo-Christian roots. And so you can see that when, the country strips that out of our core and our foundation, we have nothing to stand on anymore. We don't have a firm foundation anymore. And really, it's all part of that agenda. And so I'm so grateful for you and for all the others, when they hear God speak, that we're standing up and saying yes, and doing what we can do, and really exposing things and speaking the truth. I believe that is so powerful, because like in situations like this with the Sound of Freedom, somebody is just randomly saying, oh, it's religious, it's whatever, or it's this or that, and so they just pull a name out of thin air, and we need to say, no, that's not true. That's not factually based. That's not sound. So we're not going to, respond to your narrative. We're going to respond to the truth. And the truth says that this is not political. The truth is that these kids are getting tortured daily, 4, 6, 10 times a day, tortured. And we're going in to save them, because they have inalienable rights for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that comes from God.
Yes. Oh, that I love how you said that. That was perfect. Miriam, tell everybody again, sadly, we're coming to the end of our time, but tell everybody again where they can see your wonderful interviews. And I know you're fighting for the children, you're fighting for God and country, and you've had some amazing interviews here recently. So where can everybody watching find those?
Thank you, Janice. We're Moms on a Mission. And so you can find us on all platforms. We love Rumble just because it's uncensored. So if you go into Rumble, if you don't have the app, you can download it. It's free. And then you just put Moms on a Mission in the search engine there, the box, and then click on Moms on a Mission. Then you'll see the icon to follow us. But we're on YouTube, we're on Spotify and all the platforms. And then we have a website, momsonamission.net. So that's momsonamission.net. And we have all of our episodes there. And then if folks want to email or comment, you can email us at moms@momsonamission.net. That's moms@momsonamission.net.
Perfect, Miriam. Well, it's always a pleasure having you on here, and I look forward to seeing you again next Monday.
Great. Thank you so much.
Take care.
You too.
Our scripture for today comes from Acts chapter 5, verse 29, which reads, "But Peter and the apostles answered, 'We must obey God rather than men.'" Let's go ahead and toss it over to our His Glory historian, Becca McRory, for your daily devotional.
In light of recent bank volatility and skyrocketing inflation, diversification is a must. That's why I use my good friend Andrew Sorcini at Beverly Hills Precious Metals. Beverly Hills Precious Metals makes it so easy to diversify. I personally ordered some silver and it arrived on my doorstep just a few days later. They make it so easy. And if you're not ready to do that and you just want to ask a few questions, they're there for you too. I personally got some silver and also am rolling over some of my IRA. You can actually roll over your IRA and have it be backed by silver and gold. So if you don't have any extra money to invest in silver and gold, rolling over a 401k or an IRA, or even part of it, if you just want to try it at first, just for a little bit, you can do that as well. So go to bh-pm.com today and ask all your questions. You can connect with somebody. And like I said, you can just get some information at first if you want and pray about it, and then get back with them to roll over part of your IRA or all of it, or order some gold and silver. That's bh-pm.com. and tell them that Moms on a Mission sent you. Hey, everybody. Did you know that recent research from the CDC says that millions of Americans develop parasitic infections and symptoms often go unnoticed or are misdiagnosed? Parasites are actually the cause of many health problems such as anxiety, depression, chronic pain, fatigue, and unexplained digestive issues. We all need a common sense strategy to improve our health. Moms on a Mission encourages you to reach out to our good friend, Dr. Jason Dean. Dr. Dean's Full Moon Protocol provides all natural detoxification and fights inflammation. And the supplements are made with 100% organic ingredients and are proven to kill parasites safely and effectively. I know after I took Full Moon Protocol, I had more energy. To order your Full Moon Protocol today, go to bravetv.store/mission to save $20 off your first order. That's bravetv.store/mission. According to leading sleep experts and sleephealth.org, over 50 million Americans struggle getting a good night's rest. That's why Moms on a Mission loves MyPillow. MyPillow makes amazing pillows, sheets, mattress toppers, robes, towels, literally almost everything you need for a good night's sleep. They also make dog beds for your dogs. So by going to mypillow.com, typing in the code MISSION, you not only receive a high quality product, but you're supporting Moms on a Mission and this podcast. If you like what you're hearing and you agree with it, you believe in it, and you want to support Moms on a Mission, then go to mypillow.com today and order some high quality products and just type in the code MISSION at checkout and you can save up to 66% off. That's mypillow.com, code MISSION.
Since 2014, Organic Body Essentials has offered clean, simple, certified organic skincare. Our organic face-to-feet and federally compliant hemp and pet products are manufactured under USDA and FDA guidelines. Our products are inspired by God using plants He created. In Ezekiel 47:12, it says, "The fruit is for food and the leaves for healing." We believe in the power of God to heal, so we pray over our products and for our customers. Our therapy in a bottle approach has been widely received, and our customers' testimonials continue to inspire us. You can find us at organicbodyessentials.com and obe.organicbodyessentials.com. Please feel welcome to reach out with questions. Use coupon code MISSION at checkout for a discount. Thank you for your support by using MISSION at checkout to benefit Moms on a Mission and their quest to reestablish traditional values in our education system and empowerment for a healthy lifestyle.